Welcome to the fifth edition of the Real Men Don't Play show. I'm Bobby Glanton Smith. You was listening to the rhythms of Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions, and it's significant that we open that show with a song consistent with the theme this evening, Race in America, on the real tip. But before we get into all of that, we got a couple of special situations we're going to share with you. First of all, we have my family on the line. He's riding shotgun this evening. This young man's name is Corey Carney. So proud of this brother. He was an outstanding athlete. Now he's in the financial services industry. Say hello to my audience, family.
What's happening, audience?
Well,
My brother Bobby, man, it's good to be on, and congratulations on the show, man. I miss listening to it, and glad to be with you tonight. Let's do it.
All right, let's do this. First of all, we're going to do what's become our tradition, and is community business profile. We have with us a sister who I've known for many years. She's been associated with the great Jim Brown. She's an outstanding athlete, and we've had some great tennis battles over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Miss Vanessa Paul, Sparkling City Entertainment. So tell us what you got coming down.
Well, actually, we have two productions. I'm Sparkling City Entertainment. We're a production company we're specializing in TV, film, and theatrical productions. We have two shows right now running. It's called Camp Logan and Sassy Mamas. They're both hit plays, and by the same playwright, a Houston playwright, Celeste Bedford Walker. So we decided to do her two plays here, actually right next door at the place called Theater, a wonderful little community theater here. This weekend, it's Fridays, Saturdays at 8 o'clock, and on Sundays at 3 o'clock. That's very popular, hot show.
So which one is showing this weekend?
This weekend you can see Sassy Mamas. And Sassy Mamas is just a fun, rollicking, good time kind of play. When you walk through the doors, you will start laughing nonstop. And it's just a wonderful play about cougars. Cool. It's about three women in their 50s who... Three women in their 50s who decide they want to flip the script, and they want to start. Yeah, they want to start dating younger men.
Wow. Oh, wait a minute! Flip the script. That's been going on since time immemorial. That.
Well, to them, see, they've been playing by the rules.
Really? Okay.
According to what they say.
Yeah.
And so now they want to date younger men, much younger men.
Oh, they ain't got time to raise kids. Okay, all right.
So it's just a rollicking good time. It's a really good time, a theatrical experience. And the other one is Camp Logan, which is more on the serious side. It's a dramatic piece about soldiers from 1917. A lot of people don't know about this, but there was a famous and tragic racially charged riot in Camp Logan, which is based outside of Houston. And so it's a story about these wonderful soldiers who gave up everything. They only wanted a chance to go fight and possibly die for their country, for a country that doesn't believe they even exist. And then back in that time, 1917, so they got based in Camp Logan, Houston. And of course, the city of Houston, the citizens and the police did not want them there. They didn't want any black men there, let alone black men with guns. So there was a huge riot. The city and the police force came down as a mob to attack their base.
So how can people find out more about Sparkling City Entertainment, the play Camp Logan, and Sassy Mamas?
Good question. Sparkling City Entertainment. You can find us at sparklingcityentertainment.com. We're all over Facebook, Sparkling City Entertainment. You can look us up at Sassy Mamas on Facebook, Camp Logan on Facebook. The shows run alternately every other weekend. This weekend, Sassy Mamas. Next weekend, Camp Logan.
So, Vanessa, thank you for stopping by, and
thank you.
Please support this and all of this sister's endeavors. She's been a real supporter of the work of Jim Brown in America for many years, and as a result, she's part of our family. So thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to keep it moving. So, Corey.
What's up, man?
Are you in Mississippi or Tennessee?
I'm actually in Tennessee. I'm in Tennessee tonight. So my education is for Mississippi will begin again in about 2 weeks.
So tell my audience a little bit about your journey so far through this thing we call life.
Man, it's been one. You know about my childhood. I appreciate for you helping to make it a cool childhood. But we're thinking about this topic tonight, and I know it has it was a race in America, and I thought about where we grew up from, and I hear you often talk about some of the characters from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, but we never really talk about the other side that often. We hear about fairgrounds and all the characters of the neighborhood, but all of our people was dealing with a whole other side of the track. So I'm interested to hear some of those stories and compare that to my experience growing up in the same city.
Okay, we're going to get into that momentarily, but right now we're continuing with our community business profile segment. The two people sitting at the microphones right now have become very special to me in a short period of time, and I'd like to introduce Becky and Rain Mack. How do you spell Rain, man, just so we get that straight?
Rayne.
Okay, and Becky, your last name is?
Pena, Pena.
Pena. Pena. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your business endeavors here in the city of Los Angeles.
Well, we have a couple of endeavors. I'm very into the holistic side of medicine. I've been in medicine for quite a while. I raised my kids being a psychiatric technician and a dialysis technician all at the same time. And seeing all the medicine that is prescribed, well, what's considered Western medicine prescribed out there, and considering, one time I was asked, to go and research my roots and where I come from. Well, my grandma was an herbalist. She was a healer. She was a natural healer. She knew exactly what herb went with what for what ailment. And when you're young, you really don't pay attention to that. But as you grow older, and me being on the corporate side of medicine, and how the pharmaceutical people go at you and they lie to you basically and tell you that they're giving you something that's for the better of your health and to make sure that you're going to get better, while so-called get better. But the truth is, those are lies. Those were experiments to these people, and all they do is take advantage of us and, take our money basically and just continue to lie to us, as opposed to, doing our research, looking into who we are and what we do, which is, our ancestors, our people, and the earth. Mother Earth is here for a reason. She gave us plentiful, life is full of abundance, and abundance is what you make of it and how you perceive it, right? Well, to me, it's what the earth gives us and how we give back.
Okay, thank you so much, Beck. Big Mac.
Yes, sir.
A little bit about your background and why you have chosen this particular path to follow at this point in your life.
Well, I'm an ex-football player, football coach currently. Just getting into the organic medicines, giving people different opportunities to, to heal their bodies without, like you said, the prescribed medicines and all the things that's tearing you down, There's so many different opportunities and different, earthly things, to help to heal the body, A lot of Kangen water, things of that nature. It's just different, different aspects of healing, and those pharmaceutical drugs is killing people more than they think.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get into much greater detail about what you guys do in the coming weeks. But for right now, is there a number that they can reach you guys at?
Oh, yeah. You can always reach us at 323-932-0703. And
you have a website?
We're in the process of building one right now. Okay. We're very fresh into it. Although we've practiced it for a while, we're actually now just going into the business side.
And you have a business location here in West LA. What's that address?
That's 5076 and a half West Pico Boulevard, Los Angeles.
California.
Yes.
Repeat that address one more time.
5076 and a half West Pico Boulevard, Los Angeles, California.
And the name of your business, one more time.
Mid-City Med Center.
Mid-City Med Center. Look here, you guys are going to be frequent guests on my show because of the journey we are collectively on. I'd like to thank you for stopping by this evening. and I'll see you in a little bit.
All right.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a short pause for the calls. We'll be right back.
People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the dealers humming. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. So people get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and board 'em. There's hope for all among those loved the most. There ain't no room for the hopeless sinner who would hurt all mankind just to save his own. Believe me now, have pity on those whose chances grow thinner, for there's no hiding place against the kingdom's throne. So people get ready. There's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord.
All right, we're black. We got in the house a couple of men who, in many ways, inspired me to do this particular segment. One I've known for a short period of time. The other man I've known for over 20-some years. To my far right is Julian Shokoyokson Mendoza. For those of you who heard the show last week, he was a call-in guest. Tonight he's sitting in this seat because he's a dear friend, and that's the kind of friend he is. He'll stop what he's doing for a friend. Julian, welcome to the Real Men Don't Play show.
Thank you, Bobby.
A little bit about your background, briefly, Julian.
As far as what?
How you got to this point in your life where you are who you are and comfortable in the skin that you're in.
Well, one of the reasons one of the times that we got close together is when we were working with Jim Brown's American program. I was with Jim Brown's organization for over 20 years and doing circles and going back into state prison, county jail, and probation camps and high schools. That was a big part of my personal journey, and that's how we met, and that's what kind of has kept us together and brings me here today.
Okay. To his left is a man I met during the holiday season out at a party in Palisades. It was a cross-section of folks, and for whatever reason, I was drawn to him and he to me. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Brother David Mitchell. David,
Yes, Bobby.
a little bit about your background and your history.
My background is I grew up in the thoroughbred racehorse business, and I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was 21 years old. I'm currently, how Bobby and I met was through the Congdon Water operation, and that's my background.
Okay, let's kind of just get into this thing right away. We're talking about, can we all get along? We heard that phrase echoed by Rodney King after he got whooped like a slave and tore this town all to pieces. And then subsequent to that, we went through the O.J. Simpson trial, and then that spilled into a whole lot of other things nationwide where the color line became so pronounced that we're still dealing with issues today that I thought we'd have resolved 50 years ago. And I want to ask this question to all of my guests tonight, including my special guest host. But I'm going to start with you, Julian. How do you mitigate the racial divide in your business and personal life?
Probably one of the first steps of getting even grips on this subject, because it's a tricky subject, is really understanding the racism I had inside of me and understanding the struggles I had inside of me before I could understand my brother, no matter what color he happened to be. And I didn't understand that for a while. And as soon as I understood, myself a lot better, I was able to understand the next person, no matter what color they were. So, that was my personal journey and understanding who I was and who I came from and who we were as a people. Then I was able to understand and respect other cultures a lot more than I used to.
So what led you to that epiphany, if you will?
Well, I think part of doing the circles with American and doing those circles that I now call healing circles, I was looking for answers, man. I'm getting ready to be 55 this year. 55, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and part of my journey for the last 5 years was making sense of the way I was living and some of the decisions I was making. So that personal journey got to the point where I really understood that there was reasons why I was going down this road, which wasn't very positive. And when I looked at my personal journey, it didn't take me long. It was a natural extension to look at my family's journey. And then not only my family's journey, but my community's journey. And then it led me to my people's journey. So that's what it was. It was just going from one to the other. I didn't really understand myself till I understood my dad and his generation. And, the elders in my family and understanding that kind of, or seeking understanding kind of got me there.
So, David, you grew up in California?
Yes, I did.
Okay, for me, that's like, I came here in '83. And I've never really known Native people that much. What was it like growing up in your era as far as the racial issues were concerned?
Well, being born and raised in California, we're a pretty rare commodity. And for me, being born into the racehorse business, I had a diverse background with a lot of the people that worked for my father, the Hispanics and even black people that had worked for my father. So I was exposed to a lot of different cultures early in life. And I just learned to accept people for who they are my whole life. And so I think that's how I was brought up, and that's what I believe in, that you take people for who they are, not the color of their skin, not their what we need to do, I think, as a people, is learn to embrace our differences and understand what our differences are and embrace those differences and talk about those differences. And I can echo what Julian said exactly. I mean, what he said was absolutely perfect and dead on. So,
hey, Corey.
Yes.
You're the youngster in the bunch. You grew up in a totally different era. You were around the elders. How do you mitigate in your day-to-day the racial divide in your business and personal life?
Man, the attitude I take, I try to break stereotypes every day. I mean, we're immersed with the negative. We all know the problems and the ills of different communities, but my customers typically, man, to be honest, don't look like me. So if they trust me enough to sit down with me and disclose information that I never thought I would, these people would tell me, I'm really trying to bring some type of value to those people where they don't look at me as a certain race, but they start to just look at me and the value that I bring to their family.
What type of business are you in, Corey?
I'm a financial advisor. I help people with retirement. I help people with their work benefits. I help them understand it, help them see where the holes are, maybe what, the laundry list of things that you may have offered at work. I'm the guy that you sit down with and try to hash out what you can pay for, what you might not be able to pay for. And then outside of your job, we sit down and we look at your family situation and see what's important to that family. And if there's a budget issue or something that they want to direct their money towards, or a goal that they want to accomplish, like pay down debt, whatever it is, we identify the goal, and then we just try to put steps in place to help them reach that goal. And I try to bring something that they may not know about, some resources that they may not know about, some best practices, tools as far as products that we can help with trying to accomplish that goal. Just making it easy, making it understand, because in our world, it's been typically dominated by people that may not have thought. It's been dominated by the other side as far as the majority a lot of times.
Are you talking about white people?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard for you? It's a white man sitting next to me, man. I ain't scared of him. Come on now.
Well, it's almost to the point now. It's not looked as a white and black thing. It's almost like a socioeconomic thing, because there's a lot of blacks with that knowledge that may not be sharing that knowledge, or just concerned about their family, or just doing the best. But it's almost getting where it's a socioeconomic thing rather than a race thing.
Okay, how close are we to that, fellas? Julia, just said, let me just set that up a little better. He said that it's more socioeconomic than it is race. But if you watch television, we are inundated with messages and images that say it's a racial problem.
Right. I think speaking on one without speaking on the other would be missing the point. I think it's not by accident that the social economic situation is the way it is, and it's drawn by color a lot, and it's always been, and really especially the way they built this country. So to ignore that would be kind of naive,
Yes, absolutely.
So David, you're sitting here in all of your whiteness, comfortable in the skin that you're in. How do you respond to the racial divide when you see and interact with black and brown people, and we talk about the things that we experience that are foreign to your walk through life?
Well, like I said, I haven't lived through your experiences or Julian's experiences, just my own, and this to ignore that this country is racist is a mistake, because of course it is. And so we have to address those problems. I don't have all the answers, but I think it gets down to education. We've got to educate people at a very early age, if we can catch them at an early age, to embrace our differences, talk about our differences, open up, and be not afraid and not a fear of talking to the other side. And I think that's what we need to do. That conversation needs to take place. It's been going on for a long time. I don't know. There's no easy fix, but I think doing things like this and having these kinds of conversations is very helpful. It's going to take a lot more of these conversations to even address those issues. But, okay, they exist. Let's talk about them. Let's get them on the table and openly have a discussion.
Now, you live in a fairly affluent community in the greater Los Angeles area.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
When white people get together and you're either watching the news or something like that, what are some of the things that they would discuss that they wouldn't tell me that you might?
What would they tell you?
I think he said, what wouldn't they tell him?
That's a good point. I'm not quite sure how to answer that, but
honestly,
like I said, we're programmed like everybody else, and my experience are different. And what I've been taught and what I do and say, privately, like I said, I don't consider myself a bigot or a racist. I consider myself open to. I lived in foreign countries and have been exposed to a lot of different races, and
It sounds like you protecting the white code, man. Because here's the question.
Well, I am white.
Let me put the question. Let me ask the question a little differently.
Okay.
All right, you're sitting around with some of your friends,
Okay, here we go.
The OJ verdict comes out. What was the reaction, and what were some of the things that people said?
Well, OJ was a little different because, was he guilty or was he not? Okay, there's that. That wasn't black and white. That was he guilty or was he not? I wasn't there. I don't know.
I ain't talking about you. I'm saying you in the room with some of your white
All right,
friends. The verdict is read. Did you and your friends look like Dominic Dunn, whose mouth flew wide open? Oh, my God.
I thought it was a bad verdict. Yeah, I thought he was guilty. So, I thought it was a bad verdict. But it wasn't black and white.
What was it?
It was a bad verdict. Okay. It was okay. It was the justice system. It worked for OJ that day. It doesn't work for everybody, but that day it worked for him, and he got off. I thought he was guilty.
Okay, and for the same reasons Did your friends feel that way? Did they not consider the fact that this, got away with murder?
I think he did get away with murder. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Julian, same question.
Man, Bob, you're not going to ask me those type of questions you ask him. You get away with it. You know better than that. All right, what do you want to ask me, Bobby? You want to ask me what brown people said?
Yeah, what did brown people say? Did they care, one way or the other?
Tell you the truth, it wasn't that big of a deal that, to me, I think, I can't speak for all the brown community, and a lot of times I fully understand that. So, but I think it was more of a black and white issue more than a brown issue. Mm-hmm. We have major challenges in our life, and watching browns and blacks get at each other sometimes, it doesn't affect us like it should. Mm. And so to us, we just saw the, we've been around, we're kind of like the silent majority a lot of times, and watching people get at each other is sometimes, what we do, and so I think a lot of brown people were a little apathetic to the whole situation, and they're like, they have, their issues within that. So I don't know if we're all in agreement in any of that stuff. We all know that, for the black man has been so many injustices, that I think people that did celebrate that little victory wasn't celebrating O.J. Simpson. They were celebrating an attempt to even out the playing field or balance the universe, because it was so far off. Mm. So if anybody, even black brothers that I know, because, I grew up with a lot of them, and they weren't celebrating the murder or O.J. I think they were celebrating the fact that the system was tilted the other way. Even, what people may think was wrongly tilted. Man, when it's that lopsided, man, your victories, man, are little and far between, and sometimes people do celebrate some things without looking at the big picture, and I understand that.
Great point.
Hey, Corey,
I agree with that.
You was probably in high school when it happened. What was your generation's reaction to the acquittal of O.J. Simpson?
I was a freshman in college, and I remember it like yesterday, man. It was a delayed reaction, just like, was that Julian that just spoke?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with him 100% on his answer. I don't think that people were so much celebrating O.J. as they were celebrating the fact that the system was shown or proven to be a flawed system. And that way it did white America, and the black man walked free. And that was just something we hadn't seen a lot of in this country. And they'd never seen it on the level that the attention that trial received in that moment in time. But a few months after that, you start to hear the jokes. Black people looked at O.J. almost the same way as white people did. He became a spectacle. I remember seeing him in Kentucky at the Derby. I mean, it was a circus, and it's not like he was receiving mad love from black people. He became a spectacle, man. So I don't think he celebrated him for the long term.
Well, I'll chime in this way. Two things happened on that particular day that's still with us in some form or another today. First of all, we saw that reasonable doubt is for sale. And in a capital murder case, $10 million will make somebody doubt whether or not you did this or that. The other thing is black people wasted a major chip. We should have let him go to the electric chair. Matter of fact, we should have asked them to retry him and convict him so that we wouldn't be convicted, because there were so many things happening after that trial. Terrorist threat became something many of us are very familiar with now. That was an outgrowth of the O.J. Simpson trial. And a lot of white people had what I call is a quiet ride. There were black people who went in front of judges weeks after that O.J. case. They got time. They should have went to O.J. There were people who went to the bank to get a loan that were denied because a white man was sitting across them, outraged at a black face sitting in front of him. I mean, white people had a totally different reaction. O.J. was playing golf after he got out. Some person that didn't even know him rented a plane and put a banner on it and flew it around the golf course. Murderer. He couldn't go anywhere without being vilified. And I just want people to understand that there was two reactions to it. One was excessive in terms of how black people thought that had something to do with our liberation when it didn't. And then the white reaction was, they looked at me like I killed O.J. I got tired of folks, in conversation looking at me like, well, what do you think about the O.J. case? I didn't
If you
kill them
don't-
people.
If you didn't feel that way before, though.
What?
I don't think that much changed after. I mean, I think people of color were going through that before OJ, and they're going through it after OJ, and he was just immaterial. I think it was just a high profile deal, but I think there was people struggling before and looking at you like you killed people, no matter if OJ would have never happened. I think that was going to happen, and people being black and brown having injustice. Man, I can't blame that on OJ. It was happening before, and it was going to happen after. Even if OJ, to me, that's why I said to brown people, it was like, man, nothing changed for us. Hasn't got any better, either way.
So, David, honest perspective, as we have this conversation, what are some things going through your head?
Sorry you came.
No.
I'm just messing.
No, I was a little nervous getting here, but it's okay. It's okay. It is what it is. Again, I acknowledge that there's certainly racial equality in this country, and our system is broken. It's our country has a lot of good things going for it and a lot of bad things, and I can't go back all the way through history and discuss all those things that brought us here today and what's happened. But my thoughts are. My wish, let me put it, my wish is that we can continue the conversation and hopefully heal the divide, because at the end of the day, it's all about humanity, and that's where we're at. And if we can heal humanity, maybe we can heal the differences between ourselves, and this isn't a black and white issue.
Why not?
This is across the board, Asians and Hispanics and the Native Americans and it's all of us, and it's not a U.S. issue. It's a global issue. I mean, I've traveled all over the world, and I lived in Mexico for 4 years. It was probably the best 4 years of my life, being out of the United States. But that's a different story. But
Well, I'm gonna give you a chance to regroup and get a little more comfortable, because we still haven't heard from David yet in terms of what I want him to say conversationally, and feel comfortable doing it, because there's no right and wrong in this conversation. Because what we're digging for is a way out of this hole. That's what we want to do, is get out this hole that we're in. We're gonna take a short pause for the cause, and we'll be right black, white, and brown.
Here we have something for you folks, we hope. You enjoy, since we're enjoying the social section. Let's do. Whoa, oh, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. Where all the blue skies fall. Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south. Whoa, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. All wasted on the ocean and upon our seas, fishing for the mercury. Oh, Jesus, yeah, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. Radiation underground and in the sky, animals and birds who live nearby are dying. Hey, mercy, mercy me. Oh, hey, things ain't what they used to be. What about the soul of foreign land? How much more abuse from man can she stand?
All right, we're black, and we've had a spirited conversation on the break. And David came out of the Witness Protection Program and told me that at one point in his life he was a cowboy / redneck. And what made you say that, man?
God, Bobby.
You made him say that, Bob.
Yeah, you made me say it. You got it out of me. But I mean, I did grow up in as a cowboy in the livestock business, and certainly, you know, that was 40 years ago. So obviously, my views have changed over the last 40 years. My experiences have changed. So you know, maybe at one point, you know, I just threw that out there. You might have looked at me as a redneck 40 years ago. Okay. I'm 61 years old. That's changed.
And that's all I want to do is get some clarification, because, see, what you call a redneck in California, man, you would be the Pope down there where I'm from, because the redneck where I'm from, he's a tobacco-chewing, Ku Kluxer, third generation. Hey, boy, you know, they have recreation by killing something black every Friday. That's a redneck where I'm from. So what you're talking about is a whole different thing.
I'm a California redneck. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a little mellower. You know.
And okay, good. You could be the Mahatma Gandhi then, if that's the case. But it's beautiful, though. That's why we're able to get along. The next question I got is, what must we do as a nation, and that starts with us as individuals, to reduce the racial discord? Because whether we want to have that open discussion yet or not, race is still a factor, because I watched the president get beat up every day to the point where he has to go through that Jackie Robinson thing, turn the other cheek, put up with stuff that make me have a stroke. So, Julian, in the skin that you're in right now, if you had the power, what are some of the things that you would do to reduce the friction between the races?
I think one of the first steps that I had to do to come to a better place, you know, was really acknowledge and understand my history and heal from that history. I don't think there's a chance of healing of anything unless we understand, you know, what broke it in the first place. And healing takes place. And you talked about, you know, getting out of this hole. You know, they all say, you know, you stop digging first. That's the first thing you do. And as far as healing, anything, whether it's a wound, or you got to, you know, stop agitating it and picking at it. You got to give it time to heal. And I think unless we're willing, as individuals, as families, or as communities, or as cultures, to start the healing that way, we'll never be able to heal the divide that you're talking about. My whole family is not aligned with how I feel and how I think. I've made a big effort to heal from a lot of things that a lot of my family, a lot of my people haven't healed from, because acknowledging that pain that we have to heal from is so scary for my family, my people, and this country.
Let me take you back to something you shared with me many years ago. You told me that one thing that sparked your journey was an experience that your brother had in terms of his identity, and he actually traveled to Spain. Could you kind of recount that experience?
That wasn't my brother. That was a relative, but it wasn't my brother.
Okay.
A part of his deal, and this was, you know, a distant cousin of mine was sharing the story about, you know, as an attempt to find who he was. You know, this is in the 60s, you know, right after, you know, this was right in the middle of the Vietnam situation and stuff. And he was a little, you know, he was going through some things. And he went trying to find out who he was. And he figured his last name is the beginning of that journey. And that last name took him to Europe and took him to Spain, you know, and he was going to go over there and find out who he really was. And the people over there around the world realized and told him that your last name is here, but your people aren't here.
What was his last name?
I don't want to put him out there, but anyway.
His
last
name was a Spanish.
Well, it was a European name.
Okay.
And so he went over there, and you know, between me and you, he looked like he's straight off the reservation. You know what I mean? So when he went over there, he says, your last name is here. That doesn't mean your history is here. Your history is from the continent you just came from. You know, and he thought he was going to go over there and get enlightened. And he did, in a way. He went over there and found out. That was a long way to go to find out that's not where he's from. So you know what they told him, too? They said, by the way, you know, your name is in Spanish. You know, it's Portuguese. And don't bother going to Portugal either, because they tell you the same thing. So he came back and kind of broke it down that, you know, we are indigenous. We're indigenous people, you know, with some European names that started the cultural confusion for a whole continent of people. And I'm one of those people. And if we're culturally confused to that extent, and we're more culturally confused than any color you want to mention today, Bob.
Including black people.
Oh, man, it's not even close.
Whoa, Junior. You're going to give me something to work with on that, 'cause I see nothing but a ball of confusion.
I know, but
with
the
this black
difference
thing,
is
man.
You're not confused in your motherland. We're confused in our motherland. We're confused in our land. You're confused in somebody else's land.
Wow.
So there's a big difference there. Anybody that comes from anywhere else they could be struggling and they could be confused, but they're not confused in their own continent, and we are.
Now, so you're not Latino, you're not Mexican. What are you?
Well, I mean, you just mentioned two different things. One's it's like apples and tennis shoes. It's not even apples and oranges. You know what I mean? It's like Latino, Hispanic. That's a classification. That's not a race. You ask me what race I am, or what do they classify me as?
Yeah.
Well, then you got to re-ask that question.
Okay, then.
You know what I mean? If culturally, I'm indigenous. Native blood. I'm a descendant of the indigenous people of this continent.
Mm-hmm.
So you were here before us.
I'm sorry.
You were here before us.
Yeah, I think we were here before anybody. You know what I mean? And I think the classification of Hispanic or Latino was one that without malice that we accepted and people put on us, and we embraced it because it sounds kind of continental, sounds kind of good, but that doesn't change who we are. And if it does, then we're more culturally confused. And when we embrace something from the other side of the world, and then all it got us was to be descendants of immigrants. And when you could take a whole group of people that are originally from this continent, and in a couple of 100 years have them believe they're descendants of immigrants, you've done a job on a whole culture.
Wow.
Well, you guys know, no matter how bad it was, at least you kind of know what happened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still educating myself and educating my family and educating my community and my people, because once that happens, there's a sense of self-esteem. And once I get a self-esteem about who I am, I'm respecting every other culture so much better than I did.
What impact has your awareness had on your daughter and your granddaughter?
Well, I just think the people in my family, I think hopefully my attempt to educate them in who we really are was a sense of instilling self-esteem. Because low self-esteem caused me a lot of problems, with everything. Low self-esteem was at the root of all my negative decisions. So my attempt to recover some of our customs and rediscover who we are was an attempt of building self-esteem in my kids and my grandkids, and that's what that is. Whether it's going to work perfectly or not, it's not for me to say, but I know that, as a people, as we start and we're just beginning to understand who we are and recover some of our language and some of our customs and some of our whatever we were, that was a self-esteem builder. And self-esteem is always good. And the better I feel about myself, the better I feel about my white brothers, my brown brothers, and every other color.
How about Mike?
Huh?
Mike, you missed me.
You missed Mike. Oh, okay. No, I missed. There's a whole bunch. Whatever it is, man. I just felt until I did that, I had, I'm still, I had a lot of racial tendencies, and it had nothing to do with how I felt about their race. It had everything to do with what I felt about my race. And it was my cultural low self-esteem that had me take it out on other races, either behind closed doors, or whatever, that was because I had nothing against them. I had a lot against myself. And that was taught to me.
So, Corey, as you listen to Julian, you heard me speak about Julian many times. You met him when you was out here a couple of occasions. From your generation, what does what he just described as an evolution mean to you?
Everything Julian is saying, I'm agreeing with when I think about my people and I think about our problems within our community, because we've got so many different things going on with each other. It seems that we would have to sew up some of those problems before we can really coexist and think that the black-white issue is going to get any better in this country. I mean, there's so many different. It's almost. I was thinking, as Julian was talking, I was thinking about sex of people. You remember when we went into Iraq and the infighting between the Sunni Muslims and the other sects,
the Shiites,
and it was so heated. If you look at black people in our country, it's almost like we're segmented up in even more sects than that. Because we've got poverty and the infighting amongst people that are impoverished, and then we've got a little step up. If you make it to middle class, you're looking at other people as competition for things like jobs and promotions. So if you take a white man and a black man at the same level in a say a blue collar job, hard working family, two great families, two great men just trying to do the best for their families, but they're at the exact same level, and say that they may look at each other as more competition, and if the one man gets the promotion and makes a little bit more, and they're doing the same work, or one feels like he's doing more work or more qualified, that example right there can bring out more racist feelings. And then they're the same person. They're the same people with just a different race, with really much more in common than a lot of their peers on each, at the same race. They can have more in common than me and that black man. We may be in two totally different places and have nothing in common. So that's when I said that it's almost getting, if you look at it like that, socioeconomical or like people, because those people in those same economic conditions a lot of times look at each other as it looks like racism, but really they're the same. It's not really racism. The majority may be looking down on both of them.
I guess when I listen to that and I cringe a little bit, I get nervous when people say they don't see color. I just think the difference is...
I see it. I don't want to be naive. Of course I see color, man, but I work on straight commission. So I've been in that world since '99. Man.
Right.
So if I sit down at this dinner table and I pull up at a house and these Romney supporters with Romney signs everywhere, sitting down with me and rolling their life savings over to a young black man trying to make it in this business, it messes me up because I may not have done that same thing for a black couple, and I'm a black man. But the black couple may see me doing it for the white couple, and then say, "Oh, it's all right. They did it, so he must know what he's talking about." I see that kind of racism. I see reverse racism in my world.
Hey, that's a real powerful and important point. We're going to take a short pause, and then in our final segment, we're going to continue to think in terms of resolutions and solutions. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Welcome to the final segment of the Real Men Don't Play show. And before we go any further, I want y'all to check this book out right here, Real Men Don't Play, at my website, www.realmendon'tplay.com. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. I finally got into that groove. It's at Glanton Smith, GLANTON SMITH. And, I try to put a little something out there every day. Julian, right quick, where can they find you at?
At my website, my artwork is on fleetlinefineart.com, and that a little glimpse into what I do and what I paint, and within those illustrations that you'll see in those images, there is some text that hopefully helps people understand what the images mean.
David, what do you do for a living?
I own a piece of an automated parking company, robotic parking. It's very prominent in Europe, Asia, and it's just now come to America. So it's a new technology that robotically parks your car.
And you'll find out more about that later because the Chinese are building 5 skyscrapers in downtown L.A., so I think you got some business coming your way pretty shortly.
Hopefully. It's been pretty tough the last few years, but it's getting better.
Corey, where can they find you at, and how can they support your business endeavors? Corey.
Oh, I'm here now.
Oh, okay.
I've been on hold or something.
All right. How can they reach you and support your business endeavors?
Follow me on Twitter, cbanker03. cbanker03. Principal Financial Group is who I'm with, and they can look up the website. And I'm in Brentwood, Tennessee. So We can help people anywhere, though. Brentwood, Tennessee, www.principal.com, and that's PAL at the end of Principal.
And for those of you who are uninitiated, Brentwood, Tennessee is comparable to Brentwood, California, just on more land. Okay, that's hillbilly Hollywood out there. One final note before I ask my last question. If you're in the greater Los Angeles area, please, in the next couple of weeks, go see this production. Keith David, two-time Emmy Award-winning Shakespearean actor, a dear friend of mine, is bringing to life one of the greatest human beings to ever walk this earth, Paul Robeson. I saw the preview last night, and I'm going to see this thing as many times as I can get over there because I'll never get enough of this man's greatness and the vast impact he had worldwide throughout the course of his life. And as we close out the show this evening, the question is, in 90 seconds or less, if you were the most powerful man in the world, Julian, 3 things that you would do to make this place a better place.
I think I would make available resources and ways that people could go down a journey of self-awareness, offer them the tools and techniques that allows them to understand themselves better, understand who they are, so they could treat each other better. I don't think it's possible to treat somebody else better unless we treat ourselves better. So I would make those things. What's the word I'm looking for? I would make it possible for people to go do that. I mean, and I think a lot of those techniques and tools are out there, but a lot of people, especially some of the people that need it the most, they're not available. And I would do that. And I think if everybody came out with do some self-improvement and working on themselves with some new self-awareness, I think that would begin the healing and the solutions that you're talking about.
Talking life skills.
Yeah, and more, even, life skills, yeah, you call it what you want, but it's a deep inner journey about who we are as an individual, and once there's a better understanding there, they may understand the next person across the way, no matter what color they are. And you said 3 things.
No, just go with one.
Well, I would do that 3 times.
Okay, we're gonna break it down to one thing, David, that you would do in the interest of time.
Well, first of all, I couldn't say it any better than what Julian just said.
You're gonna have to.
What kind of special powers do I get as this most powerful human being? Excuse me.
Whatever you can seize, whatever you can grab.
I get back to education and giving people the tools to live a better life, and that all surrounds. I don't know what other word to use, but education. I know the social economic barriers are great in this country, and if I could help with that, I mean that would be something that I would certainly champion. But that's probably
the one thing I would do if I was the most powerful man in the world would be to change the currency. The definition of value would truly be perceived from one person to another. Everybody in this room is of a different value to me. And I would make the value of a human being the gold standard. How you treat people is how you would be rewarded. Corey, what about you?
Well, that's cool. I would do some type of tax credit for life swap. So, you've seen Wife Swap. Maybe you can swap lives, and they have to be someone in a different race and total different social economic situation than you come from. So if you're impoverished and you're black, you go and you live and you see the family side of someone in a total opposite situation and have that person have to live your lifestyle for about a week. So maybe you can come to some commonalities and see something or have some mutual respect for the opposite side and be able to start looking at each other with love rather than the difference.
Okay, then, as we wrap up this evening, I'd like to once again thank Brother Larry Witherspoon, who flies in from Arizona to give us the best shot of presenting a show that looks right, sounds right. And for those that have friends that might not have saw the show this evening, I got a brother in the studio with me, Brother Chris, who's going to load the show to a YouTube page, Real Men Don't Play Show. The object of this show is to continue to provide evidence that there are people on the planet who actually give a damn about other people and the state of our environment, whether it's from the standpoint of education and health and personal well-being, finance, whatever. And I'm going to continue to bring people into the studio and via the phone that will reflect that there is a world of men and women out here who live at a level that we should all emulate if we want to have a better planet. I'd like to thank everybody for listening in. That did listen in, do me a favor, tell your friends about it, because I ain't trying to sell no secret. And we're going to grow this show into something that is a model for human behavior worldwide. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for letting me be myself again.